Oh, there you go, it's Justin here again. As you can see, I'm back on Windows 10. Yesterday I loaded Windows 10 22H2. So before I went into Windows 10, I did a whole bunch of benchmarks on Windows 11. And I was using driver 522.25. And then I benchmarked Windows 11 22H2 versus Windows 10 22H2. So I think you're going to be surprised with my results here. So all the games are tested at a medium settings preset. And as mentioned, I'm not using the latest driver. I'm using the driver I find a little bit faster for the games I have, which is driver 522.25. And then obviously I did a test in Windows 10 22H2, benchmarks over 7 games: Rise of the Tomb Raider, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Horizon Zero Dawn, Uncharted Legacy of Thieves, Spider-Man Remastered, Days Gone, and God of War. And then what I did is I totaled up all those average FPSs I got. And then I got to a total FPS amount, and then obviously I benchmarked it over 7 games. So then I divide that total FPS amount by 7 to get my average FPS per game for whichever respective OS I'm testing in. So straight off the bat, for Windows 10 22H2, for all those games, my total FPS when I added up those benchmark figures was 526.26, and then when I divided it by 7, my average FPS per game in Windows 10 22H2 was 75.18, which is quite surprising to me. But you'll see there are 1 or 2 outliers. I've got Horizon Zero Dawn where I got quite a high average FPS, so that does throw the results off a little bit because it's very neck on neck otherwise. And then also using the driver 522.25 on Windows 11 22H2, I did those 7 benchmarks, added up the FPSs, and then my total FPS, okay, it says 8 here, but it's actually 7. My total FPS over 7 games was 523.13, and then when I divided that by 7, my average FPS per game was 74.73. So as you can see, there's very little performance difference between Windows 10 22H2 and Windows 11 22H2, but it is slightly faster on Windows 10 22H2. But bear in mind that's because of the variance or the outlier, which is Horizon Zero Dawn. So now in Windows 10 for Horizon Zero Dawn on medium settings, I got a benchmark score of 87, and then for Horizon Zero Dawn on Windows 11, my benchmark score was 84. But as you can see, everything else is exactly the same. I actually got, for Uncharted, it was the same. I got 1 extra FPS in Windows 11 for Spider-Man Remastered. But everything else was the same. It's just that outlier, Horizon Zero Dawn. So, guys, the difference between a gaming performance in Windows 10 and Windows 11 22H2 is marginal, to say the very least. But I'll just show you, there are 1 or 2 things that I have done differently. So when I load a new graphics driver, what I do is, let me just get to it here. What I do is I follow the same routine whenever I load a driver to try optimize and get the best performance for drivers. So as you can see, here's all the drivers, and then I benchmark them together, blah, 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 blah. So what I do is I only install the driver, nothing else, and then I do a clean install. And then once I've done that, I go to interrupt policy, and then on interrupt policy, what I do is I set my graphics card to function on the second and third core, because everything normally operates off the first core. So I go and set my graphics card to operate off the second and third core, so there's less interruption. And then from there, what I do, MSI mode, and then I run obviously the graphics card in high interrupt priority. And then with Nvidia Profile Inspector, all I do is, because I don't use GeForce Experience, I don't need any of those filters. So what I do is the Nvidia predefined, where is it? Nvidia predefined Ansel usage, I just disallow Ansel because that does kill 1 or 2 FPS. So I do that every time I load a new driver. I do that on Windows 11. I do that on Windows 10. So obviously there's no variance there. The only place that there can be a variance is on Windows 11. I was not making use of Intelligent Standby List Cleaner. Because once I loaded Intelligent Standby List Cleaner on Windows 11, it actually screwed with my CPU usage. It would spike the percentage that I was using even at idle. So I found that Intelligent Standby List Cleaner actually made Windows 11 not function so nicely. But other than Intelligent Standby List Cleaner, also with the other one, I've got MSI Afterburner running. I have River Tuner Statistics, and then I have throttle stop with my undervolts and all that. Other than that, everything else is the same. So that could be the reason why I'm getting slight little bit of extra performance on Windows 10. But guys, I can tell you one thing, Windows 10 feels very light after being on Windows 11 4 bits. Everything feels a little bit snappier. I think it's because the UI, to make things look a little bit nicer on Windows 11, your CPU works a little bit harder. I know Windows 11 has got a lot of security built into the backbone of Windows 11, because Windows 11 obviously is security oriented. So maybe that's why. But Windows 10, to me, it feels snappy as hell. It looks old as shit, but hell, it's good to be home. So if you're on the fence whether or not you want to downgrade to Windows 10 22H2, guys, I'd recommend download the ISO, do a clean install of Windows 10 22H2, and trust me, it feels so much lighter than Windows 11 22H2. Anyways, guys, that's enough of me talking absolute sense, but rubbish at the same time. What I will say is, it's very important to me for you guys to know that it's people like you that make a difference. Have a good day. Cheers.